Am I the asshole for reporting my PS5 stolen? I had my sister and her boyfriend Ted over for dinner. They visited from out of town. The next day after they left, my roommate noticed the PS5 was missing and he thought I took it to my room. My roommate and I have a little camera set up on the TV and door area just in case because of the entertainment system. We saw Ted took it and I texted my sister and mom and they ignored me, so I filed a police report. My sister and Ted are college students and Ted gets arrested for theft. My sister told the police that there was a misunderstanding and she tried to stick up for him, telling the police that Ted could borrow it, and she gets arrested as an accomplice. My mom is pissed off about the whole thing and is mad at me for going to the police, but no one returned my text, and stealing from anyone is cringe AF. Let alone your girlfriend's brother after you just had dinner with him. My sister is like, Ted came from a poor home and he's working on his mental health, and I was wrong of me to contact the police before getting to know Ted better, and both she and my mom are acting like I'm a huge bag of D for calling the police on Ted. Not the asshole, there was a 90% chance you were never getting it back. Screw Ted. Poor home is no excuse. The world is full of people who came from poor homes, with emotional baggage, who never received what we would consider proper home training. They don't all become thieves. This one did. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You are not responsible for the choices others made. They knowingly stole from you, and sister was obviously okay enough with it to try to make excuses for him. You don't have to allow people to steal from you because they have problems in life. They made the choices, they got the punishment. Not the asshole, he stole something that's worth around $1K from you. Would your sister feel the same if he just took $1K from her bank account because he had a hard life growing up? Theft is theft, and those are not cheap. I would have done the same. Not the asshole. I find your mother's and sister's disloyalty to you disturbing. They're more loyal to a thief than to you. I'd start cutting way back on visits and holidays. Not the asshole. This is victim blaming. You were the victim of a crime and you had every right to report it to the police. You didn't have to reach out to them first, but you did, and they didn't respond. Edited wording. Am I the asshole for mansplaining how to split rent to my wife? I know I'm right, but I need someone to tell me that I'm right, because it's really hard for me to believe that anyone would have a problem with this. My wife and I have no kids and both work. I make about twice what she does now, but previously she was being paid less, so I was making more than twice her. We keep our finances separate. Because it's just us two, our household expenses are low, and I out-earned my wife significantly, so I told her she can pick up the tab on eating out and stuff here and there, and I'll cover all the rent and household expenses. Hence we never really needed to exchange money. However, since my wife got a raise, we've decided to move to a little fancier, more expensive place, and I asked her if she would be willing to split rent and household expenses 2-to-1 with me. She said sure. We signed a 12-month lease, and I told her I'll pay rent for 2 months and she'll pay every third month, and that'll be a 2-to-1 split. That's where the trouble began. She wants to transfer 1/3 rent every month to me. I don't have a problem with this in principle, but I wanted to know why she'd want to do a transfer every month when it was just simpler for her to pay every 3 months. That's 4 payments instead of 12. She told me, and I'm still in disbelief, that she'd pay more that way because she'd be paying the full rent. I told her no, because she's paying it every 3 months. She simply did not believe me. I asked her if her account would overdraft or some other balance issue, what would make her pay fees. She said no. So I grabbed Monopoly money and said, our rent is $3. I will pay $2 every month from my stack and you pay $1. Then I will pay for 2 months total and you pay for 1 month. We'll count how much we each paid in the end. Finally she understood. And then she got mad at me for mansplaining basic math to her with Monopoly money. I nearly choked and told her explaining 3rd grade math to an adult is not mansplaining. It's a failure of our educational system. She's still mad at me. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. This is not mansplaining, but you do sound a little condescending. By the way, why is it simpler for her to pay the rent for you both every 3 months rather than autopay from one account every month and auto-transfer her share to you every month? Her approach seems simpler and less likely to lead to missed payments. This judgment hinges almost completely on OP's tone and attitude when giving the explanation. Sincerely, a teacher. I mean, in principle you're not wrong, but you are the asshole for wanting to split rent in an obnoxious way. Hers is way better. While yours is technically accurate, hers is way easier to budget consistently. You're being condescending. Not the asshole, but maybe her paying 1/3 each month is easier for her to budget. Your approach may technically be the same, But anyone with a brain would assume your 2-to-1 split as each month she pays you 1/3 of the rent. You were the one who made it difficult. And if she makes less money, her way is probably easier on her. You are the asshole for saying one thing and meaning another. Am I the asshole for my reaction when my sister's boyfriend made a comment on my wife's appearance? My 33 wife F, 31 just finished her cancer treatment weeks ago. She's getting better, but unfortunately, she lost her hair due to chemotherapy. She doesn't wear a wig because she doesn't feel like she has to, and thankfully we're surrounded by people who understand the struggle. My sister F, 28, called to invite me and my wife to meet her boyfriend as they were visiting my dad's house. We decided to go and meet him, and we did. He seemed like a nice dude, super talkative, and joked a lot. My wife and mom excused themselves to the kitchen to make dinner. My sister, her boyfriend, dad, and I talked about few things. My wife then walked out the kitchen to grab something from the nearby cabinet. My sister's boyfriend suddenly glanced at her, then PS'd at me to grab my attention. He asked if I was okay with my wife not wearing a wig. I felt a bit off, but I told him yes because she doesn't feel comfortable wearing one. He then said, "Well, you better be making her wear one in bed, right?" My wife heard that. I was so upset with him for what he said, but I didn't want to make a scene in my parents' house, so what I did was to pretend I didn't get what he said. I leaned back and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand what you said. I don't speak bullshittanese, as in bullshit language." My wife almost laughed but rushed back into the kitchen. My sister's boyfriend's face went red. He became quiet, but my sister kept staring at me grudgingly. It got awkward. The dude said he had work and wanted to leave. After he left, my sister unloaded on me saying I was out if line to speak to him this way. I said hello, he just insulted my wife's appearance. She said it's normal stuff men talk about and I shouldn't act surprised because she was sure me and my friends talk shit about our spouses all the time. Basically saying what he did was casual, guy talk. She said I had to call him and fix this mistake and apologize, but I refused. We went back and forth on this and Dad said my sister is upset and I should apologize just to fix this issue between us. My wife and I went home and my sister has been giving me grief since then, saying I ruined and tainted her boyfriend's first impression about the family and I had to apologize. Am I the asshole? Did I go too far handling this? WTF, not the asshole. I actually think most people would have handled this much differently that you did by throwing the dude out of the house. This guy has zero class. He should apologize immediately. Don't back down. You defended your wife with cancer in an extremely non-reactive fashion. Your sister is dating a man who finds it acceptable to mock cancer patients. Who finds it acceptable to make sexual innuendos about other women he doesn't know. Text that statement and see what they all think. Not the asshole, and bravo for standing by your wife. Wishing her a healthy and quick recovery. You tainted his first impression? Buddy did a fine job of that himself. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I've been a guy for 47 years. This is not guy talk. It's oblivious asshole talk and you were right to call him on it. Not the asshole. You are a wonderful husband. Hopefully your sister's boyfriend was simply putting his foot in his mouth and not hitting below the belt. But you did nothing wrong. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, and good for you for sticking up for your wife. It sounds like your sister has a distorted view of what appropriate behavior in men looks like, unfortunately, which is a little concerning. Not being a man, I can't speak to norms. But I feel like I can comfortably state that insulting somebody's wife in front of her is not just men being men. You might have her look at the results of this thread. Am I the asshole for not wanting my son to have a cupcake at a birthday party? So some context. My son is 9, and though we do allow him to have sweets, we try to limit his intake of them, and my wife and I have agreed on this. Now to the birthday party. We are there, he is playing, had some lunch and is running around with the other kids while myself and the other adults are having conversations. I go to get a water and see him hunched over, kinda hiding behind the table with all the food. I see him chewing something and come to find out he is eating cookies. No big deal, he could have asked to have some, but he knew that his sweet for that day would have been the cupcakes that were going to be served. So I told him that since he wanted to be sneaky and try to eat cookies without being caught, he would not get a cupcake. Fast forward to them serving the cupcakes, and my wife sends him to go wash his hands. Once he leaves, she says to me, "I think he should have one, it's rude if he doesn't," implying it would be rude to the hosts. I respond with, "No, he knows the rules and he sneakily had cookies, so he doesn't deserve one." Well, clearly she didn't care and he ended up eating a cupcake, Making me look like the bad parent, asshole. I don't believe I was wrong in this situation, but I guess you all can be the judge of that. Too long did not read. My son isn't allowed a lot of sweets daily, caught him eating cookies. I said he now doesn't get a cupcake. Wife trumped that decision and he got one anyway. Update. I know it's only been a few hours, and I got busy with other things, but I have read a ton of the comments and am still working my way through them. I get that the overall consensus is that I asshole, which I will accept. Truthfully, I never knew that this could potentially lead to him having eating disorders in the future. It's not something I personally have ever had to deal with. And I have been able to get some resources and information from some of you that has definitely opened my eyes more to that. My wife and I did have a conversation about this and have already made changes, and I also apologized to my son. Thanks all. You are the asshole. You've taught to hide his food intake, great parenting. You are the asshole. You're giving your 9Y0 son an eating disorder. Congratulations. So he doesn't deserve one. Food isn't something that your child earns. It's not a negotiating tool. It's not a reward. It's not a prize for good behavior. If you want to fuck your kid up with an eating disorder, keep treating food as something that he deserves. As your wife overruled you, I suspect that she's already figured that out. You are the asshole. You are the asshole. You are raising a child who feels he has to hide to eat. This doesn't bode well for his future. This is a very unhealthy level of control. I feel really sorry for this poor boy. You are the asshole. It's a birthday party. He is a kid. Sweets are delicious. It's sad that he has to hide from you to eat a cookie at a birthday party. Even sadder is that he gets punished for eating a cookie by not being allowed to eat a cupcake. You are just setting up your kid to resent you and have food issues when he is older. The fact that your poor kid felt the need to hide eating cookies from you shows that you are screwing up this whole parenting thing. Having some cookies and a cupcake does no harm. In 20 years you'll be sitting there wondering why he cut you out of his life. Good luck with your control issues. You are the asshole.